Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Well, hello there.
So, guys, we thought, not just us, but our guides thought, it's very important to get in contact with your spirit guides and others as well, like the angelic realm. It's so important, and there's unfortunately built into many people a fear of anything like that. They'll automatically say, "Oh my God, that's New Age! Get behind me, Satan!" And go running for the hills, screaming. And that's really a sad thing, because your spirit guides could be your mom and dad, your grandma and grandpa, could be ancestral lineage.
They could be anything. And, we've been fortunate enough to connect with our spirit guides and help other people connect to theirs. And we have some energies changing in the next 3 weeks. 3 weeks. People should be able to note a sizable difference in their spirituality and their connections.
That's big. And we've been talking that for 6 weeks, we're getting more intense downloads from the sun. And so, go ahead and try to get more sun on your skin. And, that will help you as far as your abilities increase, because your DNA is getting restructured. That so-called junk DNA is getting activated. And we've talked about the deactivation. We've talked about the quote-unquote fall of man from the higher realms, from the higher densities, locked down into this 3D, and then when we're asleep, 4D experience, where we really are multidimensional beings that should be able to go up into the higher realms. The reason we can't is because we've been tinkered with, and because we're exposed to all these things, from the food we eat, the water we drink, the air we breathe, all the different frequencies around us. All these things are just keeping us from going up into the higher realms, and it's all been done completely intentionally.
And what the beautiful part is, though, we do have some changes coming in. Our bodies are changing, our minds are evolving. I know people who've been having, dizzy spells. They've been lethargic. And this all correlates with the upgrades that the sun is giving us, changing our bodies and changing how we connect with our guides.
And so our guides want to be in contact with us, because without our guides, in some ways, we're going through life kind of blindfolded. We have to listen to others. And so, like a lot of times people will send me all these YouTube videos, and I'm sure, Mr. MBB and Dave over at DAP 2030 and Christian Ice Age Farmer and all these other guys are getting inundated with videos too about, you got to check this out, you got to check that out. And, the thing is, we got to go within first and foremost. We have to build that ability to go within first and foremost. That's the most important thing. Learn discernment for yourself. That is the key. And that only comes with work. Work, work, work. It really is. It's a labor of love. And so today was, a fairly typical day for us. And I went back outside for a second meditation in the cold. And it is colder when the sun's not beating down on you. But still, once you get into the groove, you could block that out and rise above. And so, we might do 2 to 3 hours of meditation, mantras on a typical day, let alone working on 6 to 8 people, sending energy, which is another form of meditation, because we're focusing on energy. And this has been my life, for like the last 6-7 years of really, as far as concentrated effort of drawing energy into myself, or sending and channeling energy to other people, but being in that meditative state. For me, it's been pretty much, I would guess, 40 to 60, 70 hours a week. But that is what increases your ability to discern, increases your ability to see things clearly.
And a lot of you guys were born with abilities, and over time they kind of get ground down, or we don't eat healthy foods, or life happens, and usually most people lose touch, when they're about 5 years old is pretty typical. But there is a way through your diet, through exercise, meditation, mantras, to pull back this information and be able to discern and talk with your guides again. That's something that anybody can do, but I can't tell you enough how important it is to not eat the sugar.
Yeah, we were watching a video of somebody that was channeling, and it came up as like, oh, guys, you got to check this out. And we could see that some of it felt right and some of it felt wrong. And I asked Cindy, I said, what's your thoughts? And right away she was like, send her a message. She's got to cut out the sugars. The simple sugars are drawing her vibration down, and she's being fed by the reptilians some misinformation. So this is why, what she's talking about in the past also has been hit or miss, because, they are looking for people that can channel, and which we all have that ability if we work at it. Some are way more gifted than others, and a lot of it depends on your past life experience, what you've already done. But again, they're looking for any opportunity to squeak in there and to throw you off into left field where you're going to be walking down a dead end.
Mm-hmm. They do nasty stuff like that. It's so typical. So you have to, as you do your practice and do your daily spiritual meditations, really get in the groove as far as who are you at that core. When are you dealing with yourself, and when are you dealing with other entities? And for me, it's a shift in vibration. It's hard to explain. Sometimes I see things, I feel things. Something is just, shoved into my head, and based on that vibration, that's how I translate. That's how I translate the information coming through. And it took me, I don't know, I'm going to say probably a solid 2 years of doing the mantras, meditation, changing my diet, to be able to get all of those abilities back and be able to get that information that I had when I was so young, because I could channel beings, easily until I was, I don't know, gosh, I think life started to happen around 10-ish, 11-ish, and then they faded out because of my life experiences, and that just happens to people. So we have to have the ability to pull back and settle our minds and get quiet so we can hear them again.
When we're working on people, more often than not, Cindy can see people's, spirit guides, and often she sees their loved ones that passed, and can communicate directly to the loved ones. This is more often than not. And, that's a beautiful thing, because you know what, it takes away the fear of passing, through that veil to the other side. And we realize, we are eternal beings. And no, they're not being boiled in oil. They don't have little devils with pitchforks, poking them in the butt. It's not like that at all. And I've had 3 very good friends that all were clinically dead for pretty long periods of time. And they all said that they were greeted with this feeling of unconditional love, and that everything was okay. And all 3 of them didn't want to come back, but they had to, because their time wasn't done yet. And so, it's nothing to fear on the other side. And spirit guides, they could go way back in lineage. It could be way, way back. Like I was doing my standing meditation, and Cindy was seeing another Indian Native American being with 2 feathers.
Oh, yeah.
And I couldn't see. I knew there was 7 spirit guides through my dad's side, the Native American side. I could only see one, only one, and he was always first and foremost. But I knew there was others there, and then Cindy saw him clearly superimposed on me.
Yeah, he was right there. And I get that information, and it can help give people confirmation, and I've done that a lot of times. And a lot of times once you get going with your spirit guides and you know who they are, it kind of gives someone that boost, or it puts the ball in your court so you can continue that relationship.
And that's a beautiful thing, because they're there to help us. But again, you have to ask and ye shall receive. And, my father, again, he always had visions of being in a bird, shape-shifting into a bird and then soaring and flying. He would always find that to be the most blissful experience. And we can do things like that. We've had some very unusual instances with animals. After doing mantras one time to goddess energy, Lakshmi, there was like hundreds, if not thousands, of birds that all of a sudden appeared around the cabin that we were in. And they were just all over the place. It was just mind-boggling what was going on, but it felt like it was confirmation and affirmation that she heard us.
Mm-hmm. And I can tell you, if you're ever out and you see little critters around you, like a little squirrel, if you see butterflies, any kind of unusual movement, that's most definitely either a spirit guide or it's a loved one just saying, hey, I'm here, and I'm here with you, and you're not alone. And those little recognitions are so, so important for building our relationship with our spirit guides. They really love the recognition, and they love your acknowledgement. They really soak it up. So when you do give them that acknowledgement, just continue to watch and see how much more they give you, because I guarantee you they will.
It's a beautiful thing. And then also, when we're doing good acts and healing for other people, more and more come to help because they want to help. The beings on the higher densities, they're beautiful, benevolent beings. Like when we're talking about like 6th density and above, that's where you're going away from any sort of darker influence, and you're just truly heading up towards perfect benevolence. And these beings, they want to help us down here. Again, this is a learning experience. This is a school. We're here to learn, to grow. And a lot of times, adversity is the thing that will help us learn the quickest. But they do want to help us, and sometimes to make things, well, to make our falls a little bit easier, not so brutal. And they also want to help us in tough times. And that's why Two Feathers came, because he just wanted to let us know that we are heading into some super challenging times, and it's going to be challenging for all of us. And he was here. So it's just a matter of just like putting a hand on your shoulder and saying, we got you. Just listen, though. Listen, because we'll guide you. And, that's helped me a million times in the past, to maybe take a left-hand turn instead of a right-hand turn. And if I took a right-hand turn, might have gotten hit by a car, that type of thing. That's happened so many times. And you come back and you go back the usual way and you see there's an accident there. I can't tell you how often that type of thing has happened. But that's just a little instance of how our guides can help us. We have to recognize, too, that, the ones that have put like fear into us connecting with our guides is the ones that want total control. And, if everybody went within, like I was talking about, the teachings of the Christ, which are not what we've been given. We've been given little bits and pieces of it, but recognize again, there was over 1,000 manuscripts in circulation, and we have revised ones, 66 revised ones, redacted, just like the CIA and FBI papers that they give us, with blackout here, blackout there, blurb taken out there. Hard to get the complete picture. Thankfully, we do have the Nag Hammadi and some other texts, and then we could go into the mystery traditions, and we could go and look in other traditions like in the East to get to the truth. Seriously, Christ would not sit on all that gold. He would not hoard all this wealth while a little guy like this is starving. That's not the teachings of Yeshua. Not at all. Not at all. So why are things structured the way they are? It's a power structure to do that, to hold on to power. And so when we go way back to Constantine the Great in 325 AD, he had a vision. So he says he was a quote unquote pagan. He was the Roman Empire, emperor. And the Roman Empire, well, do you think it was benevolent? I don't. They basically did what everybody else has done ever since. And they assimilate people into their system. Just like we have, America with a K. And soon everything will be CHINA. That's the plans. It seems like this power has always kept moving to the west, and now it's going to be projected to move out of the U.S. and move over to CHINA. And again, though, it's really the same families. It's the same power structure. It goes back to Constantine's time and even back to ancient Sumeria. So, Christianity was growing by leaps and bounds, but there was all different sorts of beliefs. Some people believed that Jesus was God himself. And again, Jesus is the Latinized, name of Yeshua, Iesus in Greek. And, if you can't beat them, join them, but again, make a version that you could use to control them. And that's exactly what they did. And so they went through a book burning. Everything that didn't get to be the official doctrine was burned, destroyed. Anybody that didn't go along, and again, he was an emperor with a sword. He conquered people. He put people to death. And this is somebody that the Catholic Church reveres as a saint. And, by the way, he threw his own wife in boiling oil and killed his own first son because he feared him usurping the throne. Is this a saint? I don't think so. This is no saint. Incredible, though. This is what we have. He was an emperor. He was just holding on to his power, just like the Vatican holds on to their wealth. Christ's real teachings were all about self-realization, teaching us that everything you need is right inside you. You don't need a power structure. But, of course, if you could communicate to your spirit guides and get direct answers, develop your third eye, who's going to need the church? Well, who's going to be tithing to the church so these rich, fat old men can live lives of luxury while children around the world are starving?
Yes, and that's just a beautiful way to explain the scenario that we have all grown up with. And those of us who, I never knew like the origins of the Bible. I never understood it until Mike explained it the way he has. And I was so grateful, because once I understood, this is where it was put together, and this is the context in which it was put together, I was able to start asking myself questions. And and by asking yourself questions, you start to kind of move beyond that book. You can move out of that book, because you understand that things don't, they don't make sense. And maybe for many of you, they never really quite made sense. You were doing it because it was the right thing to do. You wanted to be part of a community. You wanted to be part of something bigger than yourself. But you just knew it wasn't quite right. So, if you're just stepping out into new belief systems, I do really want you guys to listen to your heart. Go within and just ask yourself, how does that information sound to me? Does it make sense? Does it feel good? And just keep on moving. Baby steps, baby steps, baby steps.
Exactly. And when we look at it, people are conditioned by certain phrases that just ring in their head, like Satan comes as an angel of light. Well, is he not portraying himself to be a saint, somebody that's gonna have the angels by his side, because he is the vicar of God on earth, right? And also there's going to be an end times deception. Well, this deception started in 325 AD with the Council in Nicaea. The end times deception started with this guy, as far as Christianity goes. So everything that comes out of that root is the end times deception. Because look, is it uniting us with 30,000 different forms of Christianity walking the globe? No, we've thrown out the baby with the bathwater. We've missed the mark, and that's what sin means. It means missing the mark. Well, we've missed the whole mark as a society. The vast majority of people don't understand the teachings in and of themselves and what they're all about. They're all about transformation. And so, Yeshua was one of the most beautiful souls that ever walked the earth and gave us amazing guidance and teaching. But it's been twisted, perverted, and used for basically creating wealth, control, and power. And that's sad because that's not the original intent. And, that's not something that would make him happy.
Oh, no, no, not at all. He did come through probably about a week ago, and he was quite saddened with how his teachings have been twisted and how they have they're just not what he was all about. And it does sadden him that they've created this much chaos in his name when he was truly a being of love. I mean, he was very, very much into working with other belief systems and other people, and all of these things that are so important to work together and become one unit. He was all about that. And to have his teachings twisted like that is, well, it makes him very, very sad. But we are in a great awakening right now. So this is our chance. This is our chance to look around, see what feels good for us, and move forward, move beyond all of this.
Yeah, all the dogma we have that is part of the Christian tradition, which does vary tremendously from one denomination to another. You got to recognize, really, the dogma is all starting like 300 years after he walked the earth. It's not his dogma. His teaching was love, unity, forgiveness, compassion, working towards oneness, working out of the heart center, giving. I don't know about you, but I think they're getting more than they're giving. Wouldn't you say so? Why doesn't he go sell something and clothe this poor little child or feed him? I see their wealth. They lost there was like $15 to $30 million that they don't know what they did with. Just lost in accounting somewhere. What good could have been done in a small village in, say, Sudan or Uganda? We have a friend that's running an orphanage, and he's out there every day, truly, doing the work of Christ. I don't see these guys doing the work of Christ. Honestly, I don't. It's very, very, it's hypocritical. So again, this is all about control. Connecting to your guides, that puts you in control, because you could start to get your own answers. You could start to get your own intuition going. And there's no need for any intercessories. You don't need anybody. You don't got to go to any priest. You don't need anything. Develop your own connection to Source in your own way. And Source and God and Christ, they're good with that.
Oh my gosh, they are. They really, really are. However you can do it, however you can connect to your higher self, to your guides. You don't need to do anything special, say anything special. You just have to be open and make the intent and be curious.
So guys, thank you for being part of this family. Make sure you have subscribed and that you have the bell clicked. Thanks for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. Anybody that needs to reach out to us to make a session, reach out to us at EEARTS@protonmail.com or evolutionaryenergyarts@gmail.com. And we look forward to helping you guys. As always, God bless and namaste.
Namaste.